lock your doors, and pour something strong. You're listening to Phantom Proof Podcast. Here are your ghosts, Logan and Wayne.
Hey guys, I'm Logan.
And I'm Wayne.
And you're listening to Phantom Proof Podcast. So this is our 5th episode, our 5th week, and we are going to cover arguably the most famous haunting in American history, and that's the Bell Witch haunting in Tennessee.
She gets a lot of tourism, does she not? There's like a whole ghost tour cave thing.
Yes, yeah, there is supposedly a cave on the property that you can go do tours on, and people say that they come out of the caves with scratch marks, and they're actually, touched, and they can feel their hair being pulled and their shirts being pulled.
I never read into it a whole lot. No, with there being a cave, it sounds like that could have been like a ritual spot, which was kind of cool.
But yeah, no, I didn't. I knew the base of the story, I knew the highlights, but I didn't know the full story until we started doing the research. But there's the story that everybody knows, that just takes place in Adams, Tennessee. And during the research, I found that there's actually a North Carolina component to the legend, and we'll get into that later. But I think we're going to start doing our drink thing early, our drink review early.
Yeah.
Instead of halfway through the episode. And you guys are going to be a lot of variations between episodes because, like I said, this is the first time that we've done this. All we have to go on is listening to other podcasts and Google. So we're just trying to find our way, trying to find our comfortability behind the mic. When might this segment be better? Just different things. And
yeah, I mean, if we go on and knock it out early, it's probably best. Everyone listening can go on and make a drink. And
yeah, and that's why I like to post the drinks a couple days early. I'm sorry guys, this week I have really been lacking on social media. I'm the one who really handles our posts on social media, and it's been a week. It's my birthday week. My birthday was this past Wednesday, so that was a little part of it. And then I went and played golf, and then I was just lazy. I took the rest of the last week off, and then I have weekends off anyway, so it was 5 days off of work, and so I was just lazy this week. I really slacked on the social media, but I did post the recipe for this week's drink, and this week's drink is called the Bell's Curse. And really, I wanted something that looked like a potion, since we're going with witches. And in my head, drinks that look like potions are often the layered drinks. So, you pour the base and then you pour whatever over the back of a spoon to keep it layered on top. And if you add anything in after that, it creates swirls and things like that. And we were down to our last few shots of the Empress Gin. So for our test batch, we just made one for each, but we just want to go ahead and get rid of the Empress Gin. So I was like, it's purple.
The potion.
Well, purple, but then I layered it on the pineapple juice, lime juice. So it had this before you layered it, it had, just the kind of orangey green under, low layer. And then I added the Empress Gin and created that purple top layer. And then it mixes together and kind of forms a really nice violet or even deep orange, I guess, depending on the ratio, because I mixed it up. Because I always find, concoction when we're doing all these mixtures. I'm like, okay, this tastes the best. But then I'm like,
it doesn't look the best.
Well, no, I'm thinking it tastes the best of all the ones I've done so far. But what else can I do to make it even better? And, since I don't have, but so long for R&D for this stuff, I usually, okay, find the best one. That's going to be our recipe. And then I just start, fucking with it throughout the week. And so with this one, for instance, with the recipe that you all got with the lime juice and the pineapple juice, simple syrup, and all that, that's the one we settled on because that's the one I like the best. But then we started, adding some different stuff to it. And that's how I added the Sunkissed Zero, which definitely gave it that deeper orange. But the Sunkissed, I swear, Sunkissed with any liquor, whatever reason, always tastes like orange dreamsicle to me.
It does. It does.
And one of my favorite drinks is when you take Sunkissed and put it with vanilla vodka, and then it literally pretty much is that's a dreamsicle. But no, I think we added some tequila to one of our batches, and so we put tequila in with the juice and everything, shook it up, and added some orange bitters, and then we layered it with the Empress Gin. And it was definitely stronger, but it wasn't too strong. And I definitely felt like I felt like it was an even split between the two, which is why I didn't like post a revised recipe or something like that. I felt like, it was an even split. So anyways, to make a long story short, this is the Bell's Curse. We put it on our socials a few days ago, give you time to buy whatever ingredients you wanted to buy, mix the drink yourself. So let us know what you think of it. I personally love it. I find that the carbonation and the orange flavoring from the Sun-Kissed on top of the orange bitters that I added in didn't overpower it with the orange flavor. You can still taste, I really taste the lime in it. I definitely taste the lime juice. I do feel like it overpowers the pineapple a little bit, but I feel like pineapple juice is like one of the creamier juices. It's not as, thin and watery. So I feel like the pineapple juice, if anything, added that consistency to it. So it had it was more palatable than just like we've been doing citrusy juices and this and that. I love it. I really do. I really think it's super refreshing. And it definitely, when you add the Empress Gin on top and then you pour in the Sun-Kissed, or, you can use Sprite, other lemon lime soda, just regular club soda. But when you add that in and it pushes the Empress Gin down into the base mixture and it kind of just makes it swirl a little bit, I thought that was pretty cool. And that's really where I was like, okay, that looks like a witchy concoction. So I will definitely give this one 5 out of 5. I would drink 4 of these.
Yeah, I have to go 5 out of 5. I'm not going to try to compete with everything you said because everything's right. The only thing I would change is, like you said earlier, maybe because it didn't call for a whole lot of gin. So maybe add a little bit of tequila to it. I tried it with club soda. It's not as great because you don't have that additional orange flavor like the Sun-Kissed does. So, I mean, if you want club soda and orange juice, something like that, but it just wouldn't be quite as good.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the person because, some people don't like, all the different flavors. So if you just wanted like a regular, just sparkling water, because like I said before, we have a soda stream. So whenever we want to incorporate soda water into a drink, we literally just fizz up, water and pour it in.
Yeah, no, I'm good for just club soda, gin, and a little bit of lemon. I mean, that's good when you're just chilling.
Yeah, but it kind of gives you that aspect where you can have that fizz, you can have that bubbly, glistening, whatever on top without having that added flavor. So anyways, reach out to us, guys. Tell us what you think. Shoot us an email, comment on Facebook, Instagram. I think I hear sirens. Sorry about that if you can hear it on this end.
Also, tell us what you think of the cup that we posted.
Yeah,
with the last recipe, because it came out way different than what I thought when I ordered it, but it's not bad.
Yeah, for my birthday, Wayne, if you look on our Facebook, you'll see that the last picture I posted included a glass with a logo on it. So Wayne ordered for my birthday from some personalization, engraving, whatever line, phantom proof cocktail glasses, and he showed me his like what's the word I'm looking for, the draft or like what
the original.
Here's what they're showing you it's gonna look like, and it's just so faded because I'm sitting here looking at our drink in the glass and you have to hold it just right to even barely see it. So
it might be easier with a darker drink to see it because it's etched into the glass, so it's almost like a snowy glass thing. I thought it was going to be printed. I should have read more. That's on me, but I thought it would be like a printed logo.
Yeah,
it was not.
That's okay though. I like the glass, and I think once we get more engagement from you guys, we wouldn't mind putting out some merchandise. So like actual quality phantom proof glasses and cocktail shakers, decanter, just different stuff like that. So I think our first trial run on merchandising for ourselves, 50-50. It's the thought that counts. I like it. I mean,
we'll come into it.
We'll come into it.
Ooh, shot glasses.
Gotta have shot glasses. We don't have any shot glasses.
No, we don't. We should actually get some for ourselves. We should custom some for ourselves.
We should. I feel really embarrassed that we have an alcohol-related podcast, but there is nary a shot glass in this house.
It's not like a true like shot glass. It's like the measurement one that came with the cocktail set, the mixer set.
This was it, the jigger.
I don't know what they're called.
I think it's called the jigger, but it is called the jigger. But
okay, it's
just a measurement tool. Yeah.
I mean, I've used it before for a shot, but that's not important.
That's not. But then you might have a problem, but we'll get to that later. But let's go ahead and get started on the actual story.
Yes.
So again, we are covering the Bell Witch haunting from Tennessee, and it's been called the most famous haunting in America. It goes by many names. It's called the Bell Witch, the Bell's Curse, the Bell's Haunting, but most commonly known as just the Bell Witch. So basically it centers around a guy named John Bell, who with his wife Lucy and their children moved from Edgecombe County, North Carolina, which is right around your neck of the woods. It's like a county over from Pitt County. But they moved from there to what is now Adams, Tennessee. And when he got to Adams, he bought some land. And by some land, it was around 328 acres. Yeah, so quite a bit of land.
Yeah, I'd say.
And it also came with a large wooden cabin. And, they moved in. He cleared out, a lot of area, a lot of fields so that he could grow his crops. And he was really well established in the community. His family was super comfortable. By all accounts, he was a successful farmer. He was an elder at his church, which is the Red River Baptist Church. So he was well known, well respected in the community. His family really didn't want for anything. It's not like one of those stories, like the Oregon Trail or something where they go out, try to settle some land, endure hardships, and blah, blah, blah.
They all suffered for years, yeah.
No, he moved out there and seemed to be really successful. But that all changed, as these stories often do, because one day in 1817, John Bell was walking through his fields. He was looking at his crops, and he noticed something. A very strange animal was in the field, and it was staring at him. And when I say a strange animal, I mean it was kind of a mixture of animals.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it weird.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I was thinking like a deer.
No. So, according to John's account, this animal had the body of a dog, but the head of a rabbit. And it stared at him, and it was just completely still. It wasn't moving. It wasn't blinking. It was just standing there staring at him. And so what does a guy do when he sees something that he doesn't understand and it scares the shit out of him? He shoots at it.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. I was thinking shit.
I mean, you can shit and shoot it. Shit and shoot. Shooting the shit,
Shooting the shit, yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm really not that funny. But yeah, so he shot at it. His account was that he didn't know what the hell this was. It intimidated him. It scared him. And, obviously, if you're going to just pull your gun out and shoot something because you're scared, it's intimidating enough that you're fearing for your life.
Yeah.
So he was scared of the thing enough to be like, I've just got to shoot it. Not scared off, not just leave. No, I've got to shoot it.
Good on him for being prepared enough, though, because I never would bring a gun out in the yard with me, which we're also... we don't even have an acre, but still.
No, we have I think a quarter acre, not even.
Maybe if I had that much land,
limits.
I would travel the fields with a gun, but...
Yeah, no. We have a gun, just we don't carry it outside. But after he fired the shots at the creature, and apparently he shot at it several times, it was just gone. Just poof, vanished. Yep.
Love it.
And he saw it darting through rows of cornfields and into the woods, and for whatever reason, he just didn't really pay it any mind. He didn't dwell on it. He didn't go after it. He didn't really do anything. The accounts from the stories is, he shot at it, it vanished, he looked, he sees it, gone, running through the woods and cornfield, and then he was like, okay, that was weird, and just walked back home. So John Bell went home, he made dinner, or his wife made dinner, somebody made dinner, and they sat down to eat. They cleared the table, they were cleaning up, and they were sitting in the living room just talking. And out of nowhere, loud banging was heard on the outer walls of their cabin. And it was described as if somebody was trying to literally break down the walls of the cabin. Had that much force that that's all it could be described as, was somebody's trying to bust through the walls, bust down the walls. And there's a artist rendition of what the John Bell or the Bell cabin actually looked like back in 1820. And I mean, especially just by log cabin standards, it's pretty big. It's a pretty good sized cabin. And the story is that the banging was so loud and forceful, it was just shaking the whole cabin, not just, one area.
Yeah, I was going to ask because I don't know too much about it. I didn't know if the cabin still stood, if someone bought the land and kept it up or restored it. I also don't even know what year
this is 1817.
Okay, then probably not. And also, his wife definitely cooked dinner. Let's be honest there.
Well, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so, John Bell was sadly a slave owner. He had a number of enslaved people who also had encounters.
I was going to ask that. I was about to ask if there was any stories.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but he again, very unfortunately was a slave owner.
I
But
should have known. It was Tennessee.
and he's, wealthy, well respected, whatever. But yeah, so the enslaved people on his property also had some experiences and saw things, but we'll get into that in a minute. But the banging on the cabin continued night after night after night, and it just got so intense. It somehow got worse, because in my head I'm like, okay, well, if it starts off as banging a large cabin so loud that it's shaking the whole cabin, I don't know how you can bang harder than that, but apparently it did, because apparently the banging somehow just got more intense. And obviously the family's scared, they are frustrated, and they're confused, because nothing at this point is leading them to believe that it's a haunting.
I mean,
Something's banging on the cabin. You're not going to go to, oh my God, it's a ghost.
I don't know. Well, in that day and age, but I'll say my first thought, of course, would be ghost. Then maybe like alien. I don't know.
My first thought's definitely going to be just someone or a group of someone's.
Fair enough.
But like somebody's playing a joke, or I'm one of those people. I've got to rule out the obvious before I start going into everything else. But John and his sons apparently tried many times to capture whoever was banging on the walls, but they never found the source. They never found the culprit. They tried to capture him, but always evaded them, slipped through their grasp. So soon after all these banging and stuff started happening, John Bell's youngest children started waking up in the middle of the night, and they were screaming and crying. And they were complaining that rats were gnawing at their bedposts. And before long, they were terrified of the invisible entity that would rip their bed sheets and pillows to the floor every night. Yeah, so we're way past banging on the house. Now you're
being affected indoors.
Now you're actually experiencing stuff. Yeah, if like an invisible entity is ripping off my sheets and pillows, now I'm like, okay, it's a ghost.
Yeah. So now I have questions.
Okay.
Were the kids like, was it just the top sheet? I don't know if they had fitted sheets and stuff like that, but I'm picturing a sheet being dragged off with a child atop.
I'm sure it's like the blanket, the over sheets.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know, though. It doesn't go into that much detail about it.
I don't know. I think eventually I would just be pissed off about it. I wouldn't even be scared.
Yeah. So, all this is happening, and as everything keeps going, they start to hear faint, unintelligible whispering around the house. And then they also, and this is what would fuck me up, and I'm going to tell you what happened, and you tell me I'm wrong. They started hearing what sounded like a feeble old woman singing hymns.
I don't like that. That sounds like one of my sleep paralysis nightmares. That's what that sounds like.
Really?
Yeah. What? No, I'm just saying just something that would happen.
That would happen.
Absolutely did not happen. You would have known about that one.
No, it's something about creepy music that... like the kids that sing, the ring around, like but just a feeble old woman singing hymns, that doesn't live in your house.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending on it could just be an old lady spirit trying to protect you from the evil. She's singing hymns.
Well, that is true. That's a possibility. Not quite. So after their youngest child, Betsy Bell, began crying about being beaten and receiving welts and bruises in the shape of handprints all over her body. Yeah. John went to his neighbor and his friend James Johnstone, asking for any kind of advice and support. So James and his wife actually went to the Bells' home, and they experienced everything. It's not like, the movies where, hey, come see what happened to my house. They get there and like, you're crazy, nothing's happened.
Yeah.
No, apparently as soon as they get there, just balls to the wall.
No.
Yep, and apparently James's cover, so James again is John's friend, his covers were ripped away, and he got slapped in the face, and his very first reaction was to jump out of bed and shout, "In the name of God, who are you?" He didn't receive a reply, but the abuse stopped for the rest of the night. And then the next morning over breakfast, James explained that the culprit must be an evil spirit, quote, the kind the Bible talks about. So after the Johnsons returned home, the activity ramped up significantly. The whispering had increased to full-blown talking, as the entity is now reciting verses, singing hymns, and just straight on having intelligent conversations with the family. Like speaking to them as we are speaking now. At one point, the entity even recited word for word 2 sermons that had happened at the same time 13 miles away from each other. And see, that one kind of, it confounds me. Yeah, it plagues my brain, because how was that figured out?
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. I was thinking of an evil spirit speaking scripture. That's odd. But
no, like apparently it was speaking the scripture to the Bells
Yeah.
as the same sermon was being read at 2 different locations 13 miles apart.
But you're right. How do you confirm?
Yeah.
That's a weird
Yeah.
part of the story.
And maybe I'm probably just reading it wrong, but I don't know. But word of the Bell Witch is now spreading all throughout Tennessee, and it catches the attention of then Major General Andrew Jackson. Yep.
Everyone got involved here. I like this.
Yeah. So John Bell and his brothers, Jesse and Drury Bell, had fought under General Jackson at the Battle of New Orleans. So when he heard of the Bell Witch, he formulated an entourage and went to investigate the property. So this entourage consisted of several men and horses, as well as a large wagon. And as they approached the Bell property, the wagon became stuck in a muddy creek bed, and the horses refused to pull it out. Just adamantly refused. And it always seems like animals know first. Animals have a sixth sense, and if they feel something ain't right, fuck it, I'm not going in there. So that's what the horses did. The horses would not pull out this wagon. So after several minutes of cursing and trying to get the horses through the mud, Jackson threw his hands up and said, "By the eternal boys, this must be the Bell Witch." No sooner than he said that, a disembodied voice of a woman spoke to Jackson and told him he and his men could proceed, as she would be seeing them later that evening. So after that, the horses began to walk, pulled the carriage out of the mud, and they continued the rest of the way to the Bell's house. So Jackson and his men are actually setting up camp in the yard. None of them seem to be staying in the house with them. They're setting up camp in the yard. And one of his men began to brag about the silver bullet that he had been carrying in his gun. So he claimed that this silver bullet would banish any evil spirit that it came in contact with, and that the Bell Witch was too afraid to mess with them for fear of being killed. So this goes back to the whole thing, like silver beats evil. The silver bullet for werewolves, if you touch almost said a zombie. If you touch a vampire with silver, apparently it burns them.
I didn't know that was a thing until I was reading, right before we started recording, I was reading the article about the witch hunt in Jamestown. And that posse that arrested the old man that was accused of witchcraft, it said that the posse arrested him with like a barrage of silver bullets as a threat. I didn't know that was a thing for witches. I thought that was purely werewolves.
I knew it was werewolves and vampires, but I didn't know that it had such big connotations to just paranormal evil spirits in general.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about the Jamestown witch hunt here shortly. So after this guy is being super boisterous and has this hubris, and she's just scared of me, he drops to the ground, writhing and screaming in pain. He claimed that he was being stabbed with pins and he's being beaten severely. And then an unseen force picked him up and threw him out of the front door of the house.
Jesus.
And then, of course, the woman's voice comes again. And she said that there was yet another fraud in Jackson's party, and she would reveal him the following evening. And at this point, Jackson's men are begging to leave, but Jackson's refusing. He said, nope. He said, I want to find out who the other fraud is. So the events of the rest of the evening are unclear, but Jackson and his men were spotted in Springfield, Tennessee the following morning on their way back to Nashville. Jackson later proclaimed that he would rather fight the British in New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch, and he never returned to the haunted homestead.
Fair enough.
So whatever happened, he didn't wait around to find out. He was dipped out by the next morning, already in transit back to Nashville.
I will say it's funny that he was full on prepared to stay there and figure out what this witch was talking about.
No, she was like, I want to see who the fraud is, and then didn't even make it until the next evening.
Yeah, I love the thought process of it. Like, I don't care who gets hurt. I want to know who's the fake.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just funny to me.
I don't know, but I want to know what happened that night, because it says that the rest of the events of that evening are unclear. So something happened in that time that was just, he was like, nope, you know what, fuck it, somebody's the fraud, I don't care.
There's just no record, and I need there to be a record.
Yeah. And you would think that unless it was something, truly terrifying, that Andrew Jackson at least would have told somebody.
Right.
It would have been recorded somewhere. So anyways, after Andrew Jackson leaves, the Bell Witch sets her sights on John. Now she's claiming repeatedly that she was going to kill him. So now she's like actively threatening, I'm going to kill you. Her voice could be heard all over the family's farm. She's cursing. She's making fun of old Jack Bell, which is the nickname she had given him. Now, around this time, John began suffering from a severe facial twitch, and he started having trouble swallowing. Now, these issues went on for about a year, and then he started having frequent seizures. Yep, so this is slowly progressing. The Bell Witch would slap his face as he recovered from his many seizures, and she would yank his shoes from his feet whenever he tried to walk. And sadly, on December 19th of 1820, so around 3 years after all of this started, he fell into a coma. And then by the next morning, John Bell died. Immediately following his death, his family found a vial of black liquid in the cupboard that none of them had ever seen before.
That's weird.
That is weird.
I don't like that.
So John Bell Jr., being the scientist, the forensic genius that he is, gave 2 droplets of this liquid to the family cat, who promptly died on the spot. So the family stood in disbelief, and the Bell Witch spoke up, saying that she had given John, quote, a big old dose of that last night to fix him up. I know all of this has been experienced by people, but having an actual, like, tangible...
Intelligent spirit, is that where you're going?
No. A tangible, you can pick it up piece of evidence, a poison in the house. In my head, I'm like, was it the Bell Witch?
Or was his wife just tired of him?
Well, I'm wondering, too, more like if he's afflicted by all of this, could his wife have poisoned him to put him out of his misery, like a mercy killing, and then just blamed it on the Bell Witch? Because now you've got Andrew Jackson as a witness on top of all the other people who've been there and experienced it. But I don't know. That's just something. That's something that made me think. I was like, that's weird. Because where else, do you really see something like that?
Yeah, and another thought would be maybe like a possession thing. Maybe the witch somehow influenced the wife to create this, or influence another person of the house to create this poison so she can have her way.
That's possible.
Because, I mean, so far you have knocking and talking, but not too much of, potion mixing.
Yeah. So by all accounts, John's funeral was huge, and nearly everyone in the surrounding city showed up to support his family. And he had eulogies by 3 preachers, 2 Methodists, and 1 Baptist. So after his burial in the church's graveyard, the Bell Witch could be heard all around, loudly singing a song about a bottle of brandy. And then she carried on singing and laughing until the last mourner left. So not only has she supposedly killed this man, she's now at his funeral straight up just laughing, singing merry songs, like not hymns. She's singing, like drinking songs.
Yeah, she's celebrating.
So after he died, the supernatural activity just vanished. It's almost like she fulfilled her purpose and satisfied and just left. And she wasn't heard from again until April of 1821, 5 months after his death. She visited the now widowed Lucy Bell, and she told her that she would return in 7 years before disappearing. And sure enough, 7 years later, the spirit returned to John Bell Jr. And apparently she's discussing with him the origin of life and civilization, as well as Christianity, and the dire need for a major spiritual awakening. I'm like, okay, what? Now you're a
Yeah, she's preaching.
Well, it doesn't even sound like preaching. Yeah, I guess the Christianity, the spiritual awakening, but she's talking about like the origins of life and civilization. It's like she's into theology now. And that's just weird. I don't know. It's just like, why? Why is this witch, who was her sole purpose in the last few years has been to kill John Bell? She's killed him, and now she's talking to his son 7 years later, and is like, I picture him having like a smoke circle, and the witch is like, man, what do you think the origins of life are? How do you think we got here? Why are we here? Like, I don't know. I picture them just stoned off their ass, having a conversation about the origins of life, like I do in the shower. Sober, I don't smoke. As shower thoughts, you're in the shower and you're like, oh man, the Challenger disaster. I wonder how that correlated to ancient Greece.
A big leap, and we'll talk about it later. But
well, I'm just talking about like the shit you think about in the shower.
Yeah. No, and that is weird, because when you mentioned that she came to John Bell Jr., I was like, oh God, it's a bloodline curse. She's going to kill him next. No, she just wants to talk.
Well, yeah, she just talked. However, going into the bloodline curse.
Oh, okay, so I'm onto something.
You're kind of onto something. So after they had the smoke circle, 3 weeks later, she disappeared again. So apparently this went on for 3 weeks, for speaking with John Bell Jr. And after the 3 weeks, she disappeared. But before she disappeared, she promised to return in 107 years, the most direct Bell descendant. So that would have been Dr. Charles Bailey Bell, who was the great-grandson of John Bell Jr. In 1934, Charles wrote a book on the Bell Witch, recalling the stories his father had told him growing up. And it's unclear as to whether or not the Bell Witch returned in 1935, and we'll never know, because he died in 1945, leaving the legacy of the mysterious and terrifying Bell Witch for all to ponder.
Did it say, like, did he live in the area? Because I'm curious if maybe he would have went to the spot.
Did not say that it didn't say if whether or not he lived in the area. It just said
that would be kind of cool. Like, because everyone gathered for, who was it? Was it Houdini that was supposed to come back on this or whatever date it was? Everyone showed up to see. I personally would have went.
No, not to the location. She's showing up like just to this specific person.
Yeah, but she's used to going to that one location, so maybe she didn't know where to find him.
Well, he never spoke on it. Like, he never denied that she came to him, but he also never was like, yes, she visited me in 1934.
I feel like if she did, well, maybe she told him to keep a secret.
I don't know. Or maybe he just didn't want to, I mean...
He didn't want to continue the scrap. Yeah.
In the early 19th century, if you were like, I'm afflicted by a witch, people were going to be like, oh, okay. Like, they'll just, most of the time, just be like, oh, yeah. Fair enough.
We all, yeah.
Too right. 1930s, if you're like, hey, a witch is coming to me and talking to me, you're starting to get into the time period of where it's like, okay.
You're going to that.
You're getting lobotomized. So he probably thought, okay, they're going to think I'm crazy. Just didn't say anything. I mean, we'll never know. He died in 1945, and he never said that she came to him and said another, so she started, I'll be back in 7 years, then I'll be back in 107 years. So I'm wondering if the next one is 207 years.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's pretty much the well-known, well-circulated Bell Witch story. There is the North Carolina component that we spoke on earlier.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I forgot that we were going to bring that up. That squirrel has been getting it this whole time.
I know. Bless his heart. I want to go open the blinds, but we can't be distracted. Now I can't find it. Okay. So like I told you, the Bells originated in Edgecombe County, North Carolina.
Yes.
And for those of you like me who didn't originally know where Edgecombe County was, that's where Tarboro is, which is the only city town I know in that county. But it's, I think, the county northwest to Pitt County, which is where you grew up, Lenore County, Pitt County.
Yeah, Tarboro actually has, I don't know if it's still standing or not, but it was an old abandoned hospital that people used to go and do all their creepy stuff. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I haven't been in the hospital. Because it's very illegal and people have been arrested for it. I have drove by the hospital. It looks terrifying. But Tarboro is actually, it's a pretty cute place. I like it. We should go someday.
I know, we got to figure out that hospital's still there. But no, so they that's where they originated. That's where they lived. And then in the winter of, 18, and then they moved to Adams, Tennessee. So there's a North Carolina version of the legend, and this has evolved over years, kind of like its Tennessee counterpart. So it contains elements of supposed fact and fiction. So 2 different stories comprise the North Carolina version. One was published by Playboy magazine, funny enough, in the 1960s. And then there's another one that's just been passed down, like just through like folktelling, retelling. So the first story involves John Bell and Kate Batts. So it's alleged that they had an affair for quite some time. But eventually John Bell broke it off, and Kate's pissed, and she's like, I'm going to tell everybody, including your family, that we're having this affair. And so to keep her quiet, John Bell's like, no, you're not. So he ties her up in a smokehouse, and he just leaves her and lets her die.
Okay.
Yep. And so it's reported that she came back from the dead and haunted his family, causing one son, Benjamin, to die at an early age and making their crops fail. And her spirit is reported to have followed the family to Tennessee, where the haunting continued. So it's naming that as the origin, not the we just moved here, there's a fucking weird cryptid animal I shot at.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting thought on it though, because I mean it would explain why he jumped ship and ran to Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna get away from this crazy chick. She's back from the dead and she's haunting. She's killed my son. She's making my crops fail. I'm just gonna go to Tennessee, and she followed him. So some research, John Bell and Kate Batts both lived in the same area at the same time. And Benjamin Bell, his son, did in fact die at an early age, but let's be fair. You're talking like the dawn of the 19th century.
We don't have the medical science.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot the
ability back then.
I forgot the percentage. I think it's somewhere. It's like high. It's like 60% of children back then didn't live to adulthood.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I want to say that's what I heard.
I'll say that's in like day and time. It's like you get a good enough scratch, you might as well go in and dig the grave.
Yeah. But there has never been any actual proof that John Bell and Kate Batts were romantically involved or that she haunted his family. So historical records actually show that she outlived John Bell by 23. So the second story says that John Bell killed his slave overseer, John Black, because he developed a fondness for their eldest daughter, Mary. And Black allegedly haunted the family from his grave, caused their crops to fail, and then forcing them to Tennessee. So John Black and Mary Bell were real people who lived in the area at that time, but there is no proof that this story took place. But there's no hard evidence to tie that story together.
Yeah, so this is just two theories put together.
I have a new theory.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Okay. So we have record that that Kate Batts outlived John Bell by 23 years.
Yes.
So, okay, he didn't kill her. What if, hear me out, what if they did have an affair, he broke it off, and she, betrayed, angry, upset, out help with black magic.
Broken heart led her to the side of evil.
Yeah.
I like it.
And so she goes and sees a witch or practices black magic herself, and brings upon the Bell Witch to actually torment and eventually kill John. Plausible.
That's a good theory. That is a good theory.
Yeah. Because in my head, I'm like, all right, it makes me think. We watched The Witch.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
We watched The Witch yesterday. The Witch is from 2015, 2016, basically just like the retelling of a New England folk tale from the 1600s where this family leaves as banished from their community. They move out into the wilderness to try to make a go of it and are plagued by a witch that kills their newborn child. It is a creepy movie. Like, it's just unsettling. It's not as much scary as it just makes your skin crawl. But they're started to think in the movie, obviously, like the baby gets swiped, but then they start seeing that rabbit.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up earlier when you were talking about the animal that he shot at.
And then there's the black goat was eventually revealed to be Satan.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, it makes me think like there's some correlation in that story. They move to Tennessee, they move out into the wilderness. He sees an animal. He sees a weird animal and shoots at it, because in the movie, remember, the dad shoots at the rabbit in the woods and his musket like backfires in his face. So I'm trying to find like correlation between that, because it seems pretty similar. Like you move to the wilderness, hey, there's a creature, there's an animal of some kind, shoot at it, doesn't hit it, and then your family's plagued and you all die. So, but yeah, so I'm like, those two stories match up. So it makes me wonder, like, is this whole thing just kind of 18th century retelling of the 17th century New England witch folktale, but then you include Andrew Jackson, who supposedly is adamant, like, yes, I was here, it's haunted. So I don't know, but I don't know. I'm kind of like my theory. John Bell was an asshole, had an affair, left Kate Batts, and Kate Batts is like, "Fuck you, dude. I'm gonna kill you." So she uses black magic and
plays the long game. Yeah,
plays a long game. So I don't know. I feel like that's personally a good theory to have.
Oh, I don't know. Part of me feels like, because I know a lot of, when you go through history, a lot of things change, but what was thought to be reliable in like 1700s to keep evil spirits at bay, maybe we should have just reverted back to that. Put a horseshoe on the door, residual in the trees.
Yeah, because
running water all around, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't really see any interventions that they tried to do.
Yeah, they just kind of let it happen.
Yeah, they were just like, hey, I'm going to bring as many people as I can to witness this. But because I probably went through like 10 different articles on different websites, like piecing together the story. And I never really saw like anything that said, yes, they brought in priests to try to bless the home. They,
Right.
whatever you did back in that day, like you said, horseshoes and shit. It did seem like whenever they brought more people to witness it, shit ramped up.
Yeah.
Because
she got stronger from the attention.
I suppose so, or the fear, or she's just mad that they're including more people in this. I don't know. But his friend comes over, and after they leave, it ramps up. And then Andrew Jackson and his, troop come in. They don't make it through the night, and then shit ramps up. So it makes me, I don't know, I'm wondering, like, is this attention that she is getting pissing her off and making things worse?
Yeah. I mean, if you feed into it, odds are it's going to get stronger. And no, that's the type of thing. Like, I've been thinking the whole time, like, throw a horseshoe on the door, move on the other side of a river or a creek or something.
And there's, like, the age, like, whenever I think of witch repellent, I always think of salt.
Salt, holy water, and they also had their pre-mixed potions with different herbs and pins, even urine, bottled urine and pins and nails.
Okay.
I don't know what that represented, but that's what the Puritans thought.
That's crazy. I'm going to piss in a jar and it's going to, I mean, I don't care if I'm a demon or a witch. I don't want to get piss on me. So.
That's true. That's true. Piss would keep me away.
I don't know. I don't know if I would keep bottled piss in my house. I might just do the herbs and the salt and just, see where it goes.
Oh,
Which I guess if I'm being like terrorized for years on end,
maybe I would resort to piss.
Yeah, maybe I would piss in a bottle. Just keep it like, you're not coming in here, you fucking bitch.
Yeah. Just throw it like holy water.
But going back, like I said, John Bell owned slaves, and one of the enslaved people that lived on the Bell plantation reportedly saw the same creature that John Bell saw with the Weston. I swear, it makes me think he's fucking seasoned.
I know. He's just trying to have a...
But no, he saw that same cryptid animal that John saw, and he started actually hearing the voices and things like that, and his wife made him a witch ball.
What does that consist of?
It's just like a ball. I think it was like different herbs and shit. I'm blanking on the word. I'm looking for trinkets or something. It's just a ball of material.
Interesting.
But it kind of goes back to our second episode on the Boo Hag with the Gullah culture. Obviously their roots are in Africa, just as theirs would have been, and a lot of their folklore revolves around witches. So he went to her and told her, and the first thing she did was make him a witch ball to carry with him for protection. And so she knew, the people with this African culture background, based on their retellings and things like that, knew about witches and repellents and things to keep them safe. So it kind of makes you wonder, rightfully so, did they like withhold that knowledge from John and his family?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you owned us this property, you piece of shit. I'm just going to let you kind of get fucked up.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
I don't know. It adds a sense of like, it's almost comedic.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're making these people endure, these harsh conditions, and you own them as if they're property, and they're watching you get your cheeks clapped by a witch, and they're just sitting back in their house with their witch ball, like, she gonna fuck with me.
Yeah.
And there's no like stories of any negative interactions with the enslaved people on the property. It's all centered around John Bell, his family, and his friends. There's the only account is that, this slave saw whatever cryptid it was that John Bell saw.
Yeah.
And like actually, but he never had like violent encounters or anything like that. And then there's no more encounters mentioned after the witch ball. So
I like that.
I know it's room for thought, food for thought.
Yeah, I know, because I was thinking a lot of like witch stories from way back when were all thought to be like shape-shifting abilities and stuff like that. And I mean, of course, my mind went there, but my mind also went straight to Skinwalker that got the wrong animal.
Yes, that's true. That is true. I didn't think about Skinwalker.
No, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, a terrifying thing to see. But I know we're doing an episode on a witch, so, I mean, shape-shifting.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I don't know. That's such a weird time. Because, I mean, all the witch accounts you see from 15, 16, and 1700s, there's just not quite as many as history goes on into the 1800s. And that is fascinating to see that there's so many more accounts that can happen. I stand by what I said, and they should have done what they did with the Puritans and like hanging horseshoes or something. Take some sort of preventative measures. Like just pull out a Bible or something. That should help.
Yeah.
But no. Maybe they did try.
I mean, it's
and they
possible.
just didn't record it because it didn't work. Maybe they did try. I don't know.
Maybe. But do you want to kind of go into your Jamestown witch hunt, which I've never heard of?
There wasn't really a whole lot on it. The story of Old Man Stout. In 1835, he was accused of being a witch and bewitching one of the neighbor girls. Stout was arrested by a large posse armed with guns loaded with silver bullets and taken to trial before Joshua Owens, a justice of the peace. Testimony presented caused him to be held for a grand jury. The judge and the Attorney General, Joseph B. McCormick, refused to indict him. The Old Man Stout sued the officers and the posse for damages. The judge stated that the statute they were using, based on English law, established during the reign of Henry VIII, possibly. The judge also stated that these laws were never in effect in Tennessee, based on an act in Tennessee in 1778. And that's all there really is about it. That's all I could find on it. I looked it up multiple different ways. That's the only article I can find that really sheds light to anything. It doesn't say why he was accused. It just says that he bewitched a neighbor girl.
That's weird. You just don't see often males associated with it.
Yeah, that's one thing that raised the flag for me, just to look more into it. Because, I mean, I can't find a whole lot, especially with Jamestown, because when you look up anything to do with a witch in Tennessee, you're going to get the Bell Witch.
Yeah. I mean, and I know that there were men who were, like during the Salem witch trials, there were men who were accused of being male witches or practicing witchcraft and that were executed. But, I think if you look at all the events cumulatively, the number of females to males there's a vast difference. And our last episode talking about werewolves, and we talked about Peter Stump in Germany, who in like the 1500s was convicted of being a werewolf after hours of torture, finally was like, yes, I'm a werewolf. But, it's not a witch hunt, but it's a werewolf hunt. And it kind of had the same connotations where there was no actual evidence to support these claims. They tortured him nonstop until he finally just gave them what they wanted to hear, and then he was executed. And, the Salem witch trial had a lot of the same connotations where a lot of times young girls would accuse various people in the community of being a witch. This person, I think one of the people they accused, Rebecca Nurse was like an old woman and, very sweet and everything. And they accused her of being a witch who was, attacking them, but she's pretty much, by the accounts I understand, bedridden. She doesn't really, she's old. She doesn't have the strength to like attack these young girls. And so they arrested her, and then the girls are there, like, okay, where's your proof? And the girls are like, oh, she's attacking me still. Her spirit is leaving her body and coming to attack us. So it's just a lot of these false accusations where, and that's what it turned into, with people like, I don't like this person.
Right.
So I'm going to the meeting house and I'm going to be like, hey, they're bewitching my livestock, my family, me. And, without a lot of evidence or any evidence, they were getting arrested. And they were put on this bullshit trial, which really isn't a trial, and, just found guilty.
Because, I mean, one of the main things for the witch trials, it wasn't, I have to prove you guilty. You have to prove yourself innocent.
Yeah, you're innocent or you're guilty until proven innocent.
And a lot of the trials that they were put through were death either way. Yeah. If you die, you'll go to heaven. But if you live, you're a witch and we'll burn you.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no reality where you don't die. And I mean, and that's the bitch of it is, talking about evidence, all you have is hearsay.
Yeah.
There's no cameras. There's nothing back then to document anything. All you have is, this person said that this person slept with a devil in a field. They watched them and then they saw, and then now they're bewitching them. And the other person's like, no, I didn't. That's not true. And that's all you really have to go on.
And then it turns into prove it.
Yeah. And then it turns into eyewitness accounts. And, a lot of the times looking at people who wanted to just get rid of their enemies, they're getting their friends to come forward and say, yeah, I saw them do this. Yes, they did that. Yes, they come in and they witch me in my sleep. And So that's all it takes.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of the rivalry was just pure jealousy, land envy, property. Maybe someone has a whole lot of cattle. I want that cattle. I'm gonna have him killed, and his wife can't do it by herself. So that's my cattle now.
It's possible. I mean, that was really common back in those days, especially where if you're widowed, you remarry because you're not going to be able to you aren't going to be able to provide for yourself without a husband back in those days. So it's possible. It makes sense. But I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. I don't know. I think, like I said, this is a famous haunting. I've heard of this story my whole life, in some aspect. But I never really dove into it and learned all of the details to it. And so now to have created my own theory about the whole North Carolina component of the story, now I'm curious. Now I want to go into heavy research.
Yeah.
I want to prove my theory. I know I won't, but by God, I'm going to try.
Fair enough.
Anyways, thanks guys for joining us for our 5th episode, our 6th week, because we skipped, we called out, had a little sick week.
Yeah, we did. I forgot about that.
I know. But we have hit 2,000 followers on Facebook. That was a big deal. And I think we're up to 2,080. So we're about to hit 2,100. So you guys have been awesome. You guys have definitely surprised us with your engagement on social media. We're still, we still need emails. I think that's where we're at right now is we really need you guys to shoot us an email at phantomproofpodcast@gmail.com with any stories. If it's a story that you've heard, if it's a local legend, if it is your personal story, your family friend story, any kind of story. You're like, hey, I think you guys would appreciate this story. Or if it's your story and you want to tell your story, send it to us. We'd love to read it on the show. We don't have to use your name if you want to remain anonymous, but definitely reach out. Hit us up with some stories. We'll read them online or read them on the air. If you have any cocktail recipes or ideas on that front, same thing. Shoot us a message, shoot us an email, let us know. We definitely look forward to hearing from you guys. We like to engage with you on social media. We have started getting a couple of haters. I've noticed some people are saying this one person was like, I was expecting more. It's really not that good. I mean, we're not mad. You're entitled to your opinion. Like I said, we did not start this out the gate okay, we're going to be a big time podcast. It was more of we should just
something to do.
Something to do.
Yeah. I mean, you can't expect someone to be perfect and have all the best equipment to make your audio and your everything perfect when you first start off.
Yeah. And I mean, this is part of me feels like that we've been doing this forever just because it's spaced out week by week.
Yeah.
But, we're still new to it. We're still learning. We enjoy doing the research. We enjoy making the drinks and reaching out to you guys. So if you have any constructive criticism, just let us know. Reach out. Say, hey, I think if you guys structured your show this way instead, it would work better. I mean, we are not opposed to constructive criticism. We want this podcast to be something that people enjoy listening to. We don't want it to be something that you get 5 minutes into and you're like, well, if we're going to sit here and talk, we want people to like it, to listen. So if you have any ideas, just reach out. And we're also excited to announce that we've partnered with Raven Crossbows. Raven Crossbows is American crossbow company. They make the actual crossbows, the arrows, accessories. They reached out and they wanted to partner up and gave us a bunch of links to give out to you guys. If you guys are interested in crossbows, archery, things of that nature, their reviews speak for themselves. They have a lot of good reviews on their products. I know a couple people actually personally that, crossbow hunt or just recreationally shoot crossbows, archery, and they own some Raven products and they love them. They said that the quality is fantastic. It's durable. It's easy to handle. It's user friendly. So, when I put on Facebook that we were partnering with these guys, they reached out. They're pretty excited about it. They were like, that's pretty cool. So if you are looking for crossbows, arrows, accessories, head over to our Facebook and have pinned to the top the link that will take you to their website, and using that link, anything that you buy, obviously we'll get a little cut of, and it just goes to help support the show because I'm telling you, buying all this liquor to make these drinks it's expensive. And so we're just trying to keep that up. And so if you guys can support us and support Raven Crossbows, go buy some merchandise. A little cut goes to us, and then you get some really great equipment as far as crossbows go. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Logan.
And I'm Wayne.
And you've been listening to Phantom Proof Podcast.
You've been listening to Phantom Proof Podcast. New episodes drop weekly, serving haunted history with a stiff drink. Got a ghost story of your own? Email it to phantomproofpodcast@gmail.com. Follow Phantom Proof Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, sip responsibly. And whatever you do, don't listen alone.